How's it going, everyone? Iman with Dune Serpents. Today I'm going to be discussing why I went back to an OEM exhaust. So before we get into that, let me show you the exhaust. So pick this up on Facebook Marketplace. Look at that little downpipe right there, because of all that suspension travel, that's all I can get as far as distance, and rerouting would mean I would have to come backwards or through the bed, and it's whatever. So that's what I'm working with. But yeah, that's a stock muffler right there. I kind of sanded it down and put a clear coat on there. It was a little rusty, but you know, I'm trying to get the most out of all these parts. So I put a really protective high heat coating on here to make sure the exhaust lasts a long time, doesn't get any cracks or pressure breaks over time from the heat. But yeah, so I put this back on my truck. Now, a lot of people are going to be asking why I went back to stock. Look how clean that chrome looks from here. It's kind of nice. So there's a lot of argument that going with like an aftermarket exhaust like MBRP or Borla, all these things gives you extra horsepower. I've ran aftermarket exhausts. I've ran the MBRP. I've ran the Flowmaster FX. I've ran no muffler, just a straight pipe. And honestly, I barely noticed anything, right? The only thing I noticed is that over time, my truck just sounded so bad. Sounds nice from the outside, but from the inside, the drone was just unbearable. Even with like the Flowmaster FX and all that, once I went on the highway and I really started to climb up in the RPMs, it was just really annoying. And I don't daily this, so you know, I could get past that, but I am driving usually an hour to 2 hours to get to my off-road destinations, and it's just super loud in the cab. And the Tacomas are just literally sheet metal on the inside. There's no sound deadening, so you hear everything. And it just got annoying where I couldn't talk to people and all that. And then I was like, why don't I just go back to a stock exhaust? I don't think it's going to mess with my power or anything. I already have 529 gear ratio. I have a spool in the rear. I got traction. So it shouldn't be a problem. So I put the stock exhaust, and let me tell you, night and day difference with sound. I'm not used to how quiet it is. It's kind of weird. But it just sounds so much better with a stock exhaust. I'm not trying to prove anything. It's a 3.5 liter V6. If it was a naturally aspirated V8 supercharged, whatever, I would totally be screaming that thing, you know. But I'm not trying to prove anything. It's a tiny motor, doesn't have that much power, and the only thing I care about is traction out there. So I put the stock exhaust back on. I'm gonna go ahead and take it for a little spin. Before we drive, look at this disaster. This is what was on there before, the Flowmaster FX. Absolutely trash exhaust. I mean, I guess the responsiveness, the power output was, you know, a little nice, but nothing crazy noticeable. But it was a terrible exhaust. It was so loud, I took that thing off immediately. And there's the rest of the exhaust that I couldn't fit because of the suspension travel. There's not enough clearance on that bend right there when my rear axle goes all the way up. So yeah, if you guys want this exhaust, a Flowmaster, let me know. It's just sitting here. Even though I'm putting a bad name on it, like I said, I just don't like droning. So I couldn't care less about this. If you guys want that tip or whatever on this, just message me. Anyways, so let's go ahead and take this for a spin. All right, we are driving. I got a little 0.5 here because my camera's like so zoomed in for some reason. But look how quiet it is. Love that Christmas tree right there. That's just never going away. That is my new form of reading my speed because my speedometer is broken. It's pretty accurate. We used a couple different GPS apps on our phone and stuff like that, and it's pretty spot on. I actually like that. It was like $9 on Amazon. Looks kind of cool. Anyways, just listen to that. So now the only thing we're really hearing in here is my suspension, which is a lot louder than I thought. There's kind of just no way of making that quiet. Especially, I'm waiting to get the cage so everything's nice and tight. But right now the chassis is bending and all, you know, normal bending, not like anything crazy. But because I got the spool in the rear, so I hear my tires chirping more. When I'm turning, you can listen to it right now, actually. Actually, that was pretty quiet. Maybe that's because my tires are going bald in the rear. Anyways, let's give it a little acceleration. really good. Feels really good. I'm curious to see how it feels off-road with the stock exhaust, but yeah, it just brings that OEM feeling to this most non-OEM truck of all time. So it's just nice having something that makes the truck feel better, you know? Like, I have some of the best aftermarket parts on here, and like everything's just done the best of the best. But, you know, little things like the droning and all that stuff makes my truck feel like a junk box, to say the least. So it's nice trying to tidy everything up and make it feel new and you know, reliable like Toyota's supposed to be. So look at that. And another boost. I'm not flooring it, by the way. I'm just giving it a little normal throttle response right now to get up to speed. Yeah, 529s are really nice on here. And yeah, everything, all the other noise is just my tires, my mud terrains. Everything's flowing right now. I actually kind of like this a lot. Really looking forward to getting on the highway, and I'm pretty sure there's going to be no droning. It's probably just going to be my tires making a lot of noise. But yeah, this stock exhaust was a great decision. Going to be doing a couple other things, painting a couple chips on the fiberglass and all that stuff, trying to bring the truck back to that OEM finish. Going to be replacing the tail lights, OEM as well. And I messed with the steering rack. I torqued it to 130 foot-pounds, had it nice and centered, got in alignment. My tires are going a little bit, I have -1 degree of camber on each side, and my steering wheel is straight. Before I took it into the alignment shop, when I let go of the steering wheel, it was going hard to the right. Now it's kind of doing it a little bit. My guess, like barely, my guess is that it's because of the way the tires were wearing down. It's kind of angled that way, so maybe if I just keep driving it, it'll resort to normal. But the alignment shop did a fantastic job at straightening the steering wheel out and getting this alignment back to where I want it. So overall, it feels great. The Tundra steering rack is a little stiff compared to the OEM steering rack, so keep that in mind if you're going with the Tundra steering rack. The OEM steering rack is really nice, but if you are off-roading aggressively, you got to make that change. Get a Tundra steering rack. So it's a little stiff. I'm doing a power steering flush on Saturday, so I'm gonna, because I haven't actually ever changed my power steering fluid, so I'm gonna do that, see how it drives. Probably barely a difference. But one thing I will say before we wrap up this video: do not change your steering wheel. I have an aftermarket steering wheel on here, and it was the biggest regret I've made on this entire truck. Well, we got some construction right here. I changed the steering wheel before I modded my truck, so I'm giving you my impression on what I think of the aftermarket steering wheel. Absolute trash. So when I had my OEM steering and I switched to an aftermarket steering, I know it doesn't make any sense, but I immediately noticed the truck felt way stiffer to steer. And I'm like, what the heck does just changing the wheel have to do with the power steering, the steering rack, and all those things? I don't know, but that's just what happened when I changed my steering wheel. And there's no going back to my OEM because I lost the airbag. I'm not buying a new steering wheel. It's just, you know, whatever. But like, it, you know, the only pro to it is I definitely feel everything when I'm off-roading. It's a little bit more responsive, and if I were to hit some crazy whoop to initiate the airbag, there is no airbag now. So I guess that's the only benefit, because you don't want an airbag just on a whoop section. Next thing you know, you didn't crash, but you just can't see. So that's a bad thing. But when I had my truck stock, I was sending it, and I didn't have any issues bottoming out or anything like that with my airbag popping in my face. But it just does not feel good with the aftermarket steering wheel. The OEM steering wheel feels so much better, and I really miss it. But it is what it is. I'm sticking with this now, going, you know, with that 5-point harness, the cage, so might as well just have the steering wheel on here. But don't do it if you're thinking about it. And, you know, a lot of people will say I can finally have control of my dash with all the buttons, but these lights are permanent on here, so it'll probably remove 1 or 2 lights. But it is what it is. I'm going to turn back into my hood here. But yeah, truck's really nice and quiet, but that's just a wrap. So talked about exhaust, talked about the natural power in this bad boy, and most importantly, we talked about not to change your steering wheel unless absolutely necessary. Anyways, thanks for watching. Make sure you guys subscribe and follow me on Instagram at Dune Serpents for more off-roading footage. That's where I post my quick shorts of me destroying the whoops and hitting jumps. I'm going to try to post more on YouTube. It's just sometimes Instagram's so easy to post on. But yeah, I really appreciate all the support, and thanks for watching.